at the moment, this is what I was kind of talking a little bit about last week. Our mind is out of control insofar as we can't choose all our thoughts, and many of our thoughts are uncomfortable, disturbed, angry, upset. If we think about how many thoughts we choose to think every day, it's not many, is it? It's like our mind is thinking itself. Well, that's not the right way of putting it, but it's like our thoughts run the show. We're the ones thinking our thoughts, but we could be forgiven for thinking our thoughts are kind of thinking us. At least they're dragging us around with them. So if, for example, some anxiety arises in the mind, we get anxious, then that anxiety can fill our mind and we have no choice in the matter. If we had a choice, we wouldn't feel anxious. Some lonely thoughts come in our mind and it's filled with loneliness because we're kind of feeding those thoughts. We can't help it. And now we have this feeling of being isolated, separated from others, lonely. And there's suffering there. And it's like we have no control over it. If we did, we wouldn't ever feel lonely, cut off, separated from others. And so on and so forth. We have a lot of what Buddha called delusions, which are unpeaceful and uncontrolled thoughts that arise from inappropriate attention, faulty thinking. So because of that, our mind is not under our control. It's not under our control. Our thoughts are controlling us rather than the other way around. And Buddha's point is if we want to find true refuge and true peace, lasting happiness, we have to reverse that situation. We have to gain mastery over our minds, which is what the whole practice of meditation and Dharma is about, gaining mastery over our own minds. There are different examples that Buddha gave for our mind at the moment, for the uncontrolled mind, if you have an uncontrolled mind. He said we have like a monkey mind. So monkeys, run around and throw things and grab things. And so I lived in Ghana in West Africa at one point, and I'd been away and I came back and a monkey had arrived in this tree in the garden, because my parents were living there. And this monkey adored my mother, just adored her. And she went out and talked to it and hung out with it and fed this monkey every day. Wild monkey, but in the tree. And she was so looking forward to introducing me to the monkey. She thought we were going to get on really well, and I was really excited about meeting this monkey. We went out into the garden, the yard, and the monkey saw me and went absolutely crazy, consumed with jealousy. What was I doing with this person? And started throwing things at me. So funny, and jumping up and down and just kind of screaming at me, and I had to kind of run inside. So anyway, this is like, it didn't go well, that first monkey meeting. And it's kind of like, as Buddha said, our minds are like monkey minds, because this monkey had a lot of grass and really wanted my mom and loved my mom, but anything that seemed to be getting in the way of him and his best friend, my mom, was, it was an enemy. And now he was throwing things at me and upset and totally out of control. This was an out of control monkey. So our minds are like monkey minds, Buddha said, just monkey minds. That's one example he gave. Another example, he said, our mind is like an uncontrolled elephant. The animals are getting a bit of a raw deal here. But anyway, an uncontrolled elephant. So back in ancient India, and maybe even to this day, occasionally actually elephants go a bit crazy and rampage through villages back in ancient India, Buddha's time, rampage and destroy everything in their path. So in the same way, when our mind is completely out of control, roiled by attachment, hatred, ignorance, confusion, and the rest of it, we can destroy a lot of things very quickly. Uncontrolled mind is a dangerous mind, actually. our mind is really out of control, can be quite dangerous. And we see, what uncontrolled minds can do in our own life and in the lives of people around us, in our society and so on. We see this. Uncontrolled minds are dangerous. And another animal Buddha used was the example of a horse. He said, maybe like a wild Mustang, generally the rider has no control over the Mustang. It's the horse, this powerful horse, that has all the control. The power just goes off in whatever direction it wants. And the rider has no choice, just chucked around, thrown off, the rest of it. This is like us with our mind at the moment. Our mind just does what it wants. We just have to go along for the ride and try and hang on for dear life. You get that feeling with our mind. It's like, and then what we need to do, though, is this Buddha's analogy is that we need to tame the horse of our mind through mindfulness, through compassion, through concentration, through love, through developing inner peace, through Dharma. We need to slowly but surely bring the wild, crazy horse of our mind under our control so it becomes completely responsive to our needs, responsive to our wishes, obedient. We can take our mind wherever we want to take it. We can think whatever we want to think. We can think thoughts all day long that are helpful, that are wise, that are kind, that are peaceful, that are loving. We have that choice because we have our mind under control through the practice of Dharma. There's nothing fixed about our minds. And this is real refuge. When we have this opportunity this ability, I should say, to actually control our own thoughts, our own mind, think what we want to think, develop peaceful, happy, blissful states of mind all day long, then that's real refuge. And we're actually in a state of refuge all the time when we can do that. Because whatever's gone on outside us, we're able to deal with it, manage it, cope with it, transform it. We're able to help people. Sometimes when it comes to the practice of refuge, one question to ask ourselves is, what can I control at the moment? I try to control many things. I try to control my coffee, make sure it's hot and creamy the way I want it. I try and control my meals, like where I eat, restaurants. I try and control my Facebook feed, my social media, my TikTok. I can try and control that, get people to like me and the rest of it. We'll continue trying to control things. Do you know what I mean? We're like little mini Mussolinis on one level, just like continually trying to control our environment so that we stay happy and find refuge from our problems. We try and control other people. At least we would like them to behave better. We think that if other people behave better, my problems will be over. So try and control them through criticism and so on and so forth. I don't know how that's working for you. If you think about, everyone's running around with their monkey mind, with the wild elephant mind, with the bucking bronco mind, and we're trying to, control the situation. You can see why it's hard to do that, isn't it? Control the external world. There's a lot of uncontrolled things going on, namely other people, but also we're out of control. We can't control the weather, we can't control, there's many things we can't control. So then what can we control? What we can control is our own mind. Shantideva, the great Indian Buddhist master, he said, if we control our own mind, we don't need to control everything else. If we gain mastery of ourselves, we don't need to control everybody and everything else. And he gave the example of let's say you have to walk. This is Shantideva gave this example. Let's say you have to walk over rough and stony, prickly ground. Right? It's very painful on the feet, and you have to walk over that ground. So we have a choice. In order to protect our feet, we can, choice number one, we can invest in an enormous wall of leather and just like put it over the entire earth. We could try and do that so that wherever we walk, our feet are nice and comfortable. There are drawbacks with that. It's expensive, takes a lot of effort. It's actually impossible because then we notice everyone else is trying to roll their leather out as well in every direction. So we keep bumping into people. It's not an effective technique actually to protect our feet. So what is? What was choice number 2, do you reckon? Shoes. Just put leather on our feet, as Shantideva says. So when we're trying to solve our problems by solving everything out there in order to make ourselves comfortable and happy, that's like putting leather over the whole earth, trying to make everything out there work, go according to our plans. I'll be happy if this happens. I'll be happy when that happens. I'll be happy if this doesn't happen. And so on. Our happiness and our inner peace, everything conditional upon things going a certain way in our lives and in our world. That's like trying to put leather over everything. It doesn't work. However, if we protect our own mind through inner peace, through Dharma, that's like putting on shoes. We can walk anywhere. We can deal with anything.